Hello friends, Sarah Sunstone here, and welcome back to Thinking Out Loud. Today, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the very original Witchbrook Oracle. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So for those of you who have been following along with all of my Witchbrook content, then you do know that we've been breaking down all of the new oracles, looking for secrets, clues, any little bits of information that we can get about the game. I will have an entire playlist of other Witchbrook content linked in the description for your reference, so you can get all up to speed. But one thing I have yet to do is take a look at the very original oracle. Now, this one was published on October 28th of 2021, so 4 entire years ago. With that being said, it is important to keep in mind that many of the details included in this edition of the oracle could have changed by now over the course of development, but I still think it's worth taking a look at and seeing what we might be able to discover. So this oracle is titled Autumn Comes to Mossport. Again, it was that very first issue set in the autumn season on October 28th. And the main photo here is of the garden shop. We've seen this location in the trailers, so we do know this still exists. And here the headline reads, Witchbrook student rakes in gourd glory. And it looks like they're probably referencing this giant pumpkin here in this wheelbarrow. It reads, ambitious young gardener Fenkel Blomgren found himself ahead of the carve at this year's annual pumpkin growing competition. Fen claimed the first place with his prodigious pumpkin, Gordon, a whopper weighing in at an incredible 20-stone pre-carve. So already right here, it seems like this character right here is named Fenkel. We have yet to officially meet Fenkel in terms of a formal introduction with the portrait and all of that. So apparently when interviewed, Fen, short for Fenkel, said, Gordon's done so great. I always knew he would. I guess Gordon is the name of the pumpkin. I couldn't be a prouder plant papa. I grow pumpkins every year and he's the biggest I've ever seen. But even tiny pumpkins are amazing. You can grow them just about anywhere. And the flowers? Those big yellow blooms you see in summer are edible too, and the seeds as well. They're a one-stop snack shop. So I feel like this is essentially confirming that we'll be able to grow pumpkins. We do know that we'll have our own garden to tend to, which is located at our own little cozy cottage. Growing pumpkins for the fall season would be absolutely perfect for all those autumnal cozy vibes. Next up, it reads that the local horticultural society hosted the final judging of the competition at the town's gardening shop, which is called Wildflower. Once again, this is the location pictured here. It's also been seen in the trailers, and it honestly looks like it might be one of my favorite places to visit because it is so beautiful. There are so many gorgeous blossoms and plants, and everything just looks so lovely. And it actually seems like Fenkel works here part-time, which appears to have caused a little bit of controversy with the pumpkin growing competition. So Fen was given permission to grow Gordon on the Wildflower premises, raising the eyebrows of some of his fellow competitors who suggested he might have had an edge over the competition. This allegation was denied by shop owner Ren Pasternak. When approached, Ren simply said, I don't see how it could have made a difference. Apparently, the competition slipped further into scandal when it was discovered that 10-year-old entrant Violet Mackenzie had zealously filled her own squash with water in a thwarted attempt to double its weight. But luckily, in the nick of time, mere hours before judging was to commence, Justin Mackenzie, the father of the participant, discovered his daughter's plot and tipped the water out. I absolutely love this pumpkin growing competition drama. Like, totally sat for it. As the competition came to a close, we asked Wildflower's Wren if she had any pumpkin growing advice for budding botanists. She said, harvest them right when their color's at its brightest, when their stems are starting to shrivel. Cut the stem, don't twist it, or you'll damage the fruit. The vines are prickly, so wear gloves. Thank you, Wren, for that gardening wisdom. I am wondering if this here might be Wren. If so, then she's the owner of this shop. She might also act as our sort of mentor for gardening and being introduced to gardening, at least outside of the walls of the classroom. I think it would be really neat if we're introduced to like potions and herbalism through a class, and then our professor is maybe like, oh, but you can learn to grow all sorts of things on your own, and perhaps that sparks curiosity for us to go investigate further, and maybe this is when we meet Ren, and they'll introduce us to all these other techniques and seed types and such that we can grow ourselves, which then maybe we can also use back, in our studies. I'm really hoping to see that sort of integration between our academic life and our life outside of school. Similarly, for the different NPCs, I'm hoping we'll meet some folks through into our studies at Witchbrook College itself, and then other folks will run into while we're out in the town. And there'll be that really nice variety of interactions, but also cohesion between the different settings. I did think it was also interesting that they introduced us to 2 other characters, which is a father-daughter. So Violet Mackenzie, the 10-year-old who tried to basically cheat her way into winning the pumpkin growing competition. And then her father, Justin Mackenzie, who, kept her honest. It'll be interesting to see if these 2 characters still exist in, the current plans for the game. And we haven't been introduced to any children NPCs yet, but it's definitely something interesting to think about, that there could be characters of all ages, around the world. By the way, friends, if you're excited for Witchbrook, please let me know by shining the lovely like button, and make sure you're subscribed to my channel with your notifications on so you never miss out on the latest Witchbrook news. So then in the right-hand column, we have Dear Dusty, my donut darling. And this is a bit of a Q&A situation, so it looks like folks are writing into Dusty to get some advice. So here it says, Dear Dusty, I was tucked into a glazed donut at Dobro's the other day when I locked eyes with someone whose reading choice indicated they were a student at the college. They looked so cool and sophisticated. I wanted to pluck up the courage to talk to them, but I got incredibly anxious when I started to think about all the cool things they must get up to. I just feel so plain. What should I do? Signed, Doe-Eyed Bro. So as a refresher, there is a location called Dobro's, both a brick and mortar shop where it looks like you can get donuts. And then they do also have a food stand, food truck sort of situation too. So it's likely that Dobro's could pop up at different events, festivals, maybe just around town depending on the season. And I think this is really cute. Once again, the world building, the character interactions makes you feel like there's a whole living and breathing world outside of your own experience in Mossport and at Witchbrook. So let's see what Dusty's advice is. Dear Doe-Eyed Bro, student of witchcraft or not, people just want to find that special someone to split a delicious donut with. The fact you both lead different lives shouldn't stop you from striking up a conversation, and in fact could lead to some interesting tete-a-tete. It sounds like you both have a love for delicious fried goods, which could make for an excellent icing breaker. Who knows? Maybe one day soon, you'll be splitting a donut as you watch the sunset. Best of luck. Love, Dusty. Honestly, I think that's really good advice from Dusty. And while we do know that there are romance options for us as the player, this does make me wonder if we'll also see other love stories unfold, around us. Maybe not in the sense of like a rival romance where those romanceable candidates could get, scooped up before we have a chance to, but rather with maybe some of the other NPCs, the non-romanceable characters. I think it'd be really sweet to see some other love stories kind of unfold as well. And maybe we could even play a role in helping make that happen through the form of, just lending some advice, or maybe even getting more involved with some kind of a fun quest. Here at the bottom it says, having a problem and in need of some sage advice? Tackle your worldly woes with the help of Mossport's resident agony aunt. Write to Dusty Inkwell, CO the Mossport Post Office. So I love that, and I do wonder, who this Dusty character is? Our current writer and editor of the Oracles is Eli Ivers. So was he formerly known as Dusty? Was the torch passed from Dusty to Eli? Is this a totally separate thing since it's just an advice column and Dusty is a character in the world of Witchbrook? Lots and lots of questions here, of course. Now at the bottom here, we have a few different ads. So first we have the Swine and Spirits, which was established in 1603. I'm not exactly sure what this business could be. It's kind of giving a vibe of like a pub or like a bar between swine and spirits. If you look at spirits, under the lens of a beverage, and swine is like, a meal. But it could also be interpreted more literally in this universe, because spirits could be like actual spirits, like actual like ghosts. So yeah, not sure about this one, but very intrigued. The next one is premium ice cream called Ice Guys, which was established in 1950. And I think this is really cute because here is a little coupon for 1 free scoop of ice cream when you present a pumpkin. I think that is so charming, and I would actually love to see that implemented in the game. Like if we grow our own pumpkins in our garden, we bring one in and we just show it to, the clerk at the ice cream counter, and we get a little free scoop of ice cream. I think that'd be really cute. And then the final ad here is for Wildflower, so the shop owned by Ren, which we got a bit of a look into both both, literally with the photo and what we've seen in the trailer, but then also some of that lore with the pumpkin growing competition and the fact that Ren seems to give some pretty good gardening tips as well. So according to this ad here, we'll be able to get seeds, houseplants, and supplies, which I really like the idea of that because not only can we get stuff to grow our own crops back at home, that could include the seeds, of course, but also maybe some fertilizer, watering can, maybe even some cute outfits, little gardening gloves, overalls, stuff like that. But I do like to see that we'll also be able to get houseplants here, so plants that we could actually use while decorating, both in the interior of our houses and hopefully exterior as well. I absolutely love decorating with plants. It's definitely one of my favorite items to use in any game ever. The more plants, the more flowers, the more greenery, the better for me. So I love that. Then down at the bottom here, we have 3 little columns. The first is titled Autumn Activities. Eager to enjoy nature's bounty this autumn? We've asked professors, plant experts, and enthusiasts for all their best tips and tricks. Find our guide to flawless foraging on page 6. So this definitely alludes to foraging, and more specifically, seasonal foraging. Just based on this, it definitely seems like there will be different forageables dependent on the season, which is honestly always one of my favorite things to go out and discover at the turn of the season in a game like this. I love going out to discover what new things we can collect, new flowers, new mushrooms, new herbs. It's always so exciting and really brings the season together in a way that is tangible because you can literally collect the items. So I'm definitely excited to hear that it seems like there'll also be those seasonal forageables implemented in Witchbrook. Now the next column here says Lost Not Found, and it reads, Mrs. Bailey requests help in locating her missing watering can. It was a gift from her late father and features a butterfly-shaped spout. Please hand it in to the post office if found. So I actually envision this as one of those requests that we would likely encounter on the quest boards that we've seen posted around town. This would be the perfect example of something that could be posted up there, and we could choose to pick up that request, keep our eyes peeled for that missing watering can, and then, once we find it, if we managed to, we would follow the instructions to hand it into the post office. Maybe in other circumstances, we would actually hand deliver it to the person who, posted the request. And, in theory, perhaps receive a reward as well for completing this. These little quests that will probably guide us to exploring the world and getting to know little bits and pieces about the various folks who live around the town of Mossport are really exciting to me. I feel like I would want to pick up every single quest, and I do hope that they are fairly interesting and diverse in terms of their formula. I don't mind a little bit of repetition, and not every single quest has to be something super unique and groundbreaking, but I definitely am hopeful that it won't just be a series of simple fetch quests. And based on what's been shared so far, it does seem like there will be a pretty nice variety for us to, stay busy with. And then finally here we have a community notice, which says an organized trick-or-treat will take place this Saturday. We'll be leaving from the promenade at 4:30 p.m. and finish up by 7 p.m. We hope to see you there. And this is signed by Justin and Violet McKenzie, who we were introduced to earlier, the father-daughter duo. I absolutely love the idea of this. I really hope there's something like this actually in the game. I would absolutely love to see some kind of a spooky event or festival. Having a harvest festival would be great too, just one that embraces the spirit of the autumn season. Trick or treat just sounds so fun. I don't know exactly what this would look like, but I think it could be super adorable. We could all dress up in little costumes, meet up at the promenade, and honestly, maybe it could be implemented somewhat similar to Animal Crossing, because I feel like that's the only game I've played that has a trick or treat. I don't know, the sky could be the limit for this one, but being a big fan of the spooky holidays, I'm definitely a little bit biased on this, but yeah, I love this idea. Again, hope to see something actually implemented in the game. Only time will tell. And then, at the bottom here, it said in the next issue, winter warmers, tea recipes for chilly days, and cozy nights by the fire. And of course, spoiler alert, we never got that issue. But I am hopeful and, pretty confident that we will get a winter edition of the Oracle this year. So maybe we'll circle back to some of those tea recipes and cozy nights by the fire, now that we're in the year of 2025. I'm honestly so glad we went back to this original Oracle and, took a deeper look into it, because I personally feel like there is so much here to get excited about and unpack. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this edition of the Oracle down in the comments. Do you think a lot of these features are still going to be implemented in the game? What would you like to see at a spooky trick-or-treat event? And how much do you love the look of Wildflower? Because it is just gorgeous. Let me know. Anything and everything, you know I always love hearing from you. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I love you all. And until next time, take care.